Hannah, thank you
Hi.
for agreeing to do this interview. I thought it'd be useful, especially as you've been through the process now of adopting an environmental policy and then auditing your company to see where environmental improvements could be made. So to start with, I thought it'd be interesting to know, did you find the process helpful in looking across your business?
Yes, very much so. I don't think there's anything like it in the funeral profession that I could find. And obviously, we'd got to a point where we wanted to be greener. We had an eco-hearse, pioneered in 2013. That was sort of the real beginning of our commitment, I suppose. I think we've always done a lot in the background, but that was a big, obviously big financial commitment and operational commitment from the company. And I think we were just needing to formalise our agenda on the greening of funerals. And we've always really pushed for eco funerals, but obviously it's really important that we offer everything, and anything to what people choose. But that has always been our sort of part of our brand and our values. So yeah, we've been looking for something to formalise the process and our commitment, and to recognise our commitment, I guess. So the whole process from meeting you has really sort of taken us forward formally as a company, from having a policy, a PDF, to actually a full commitment of an audit and an improvement plan.
That's good. And with the audit, obviously it's a structured process, as I'm sure it is, with any other schemes. And did you find that useful? And did it sort of take you into parts of the business where perhaps, it's not so obvious, like the eco-hearse, where you clearly were leading the way? This is sort of, I'm just thinking like more the back office and those sort of areas, which perhaps aren't so obvious as areas where you can green the business.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's focused our minds and made us really evaluate what we already do and actually where we need to do better. It's obviously very in depth, and it did take a lot of work for someone like me, but I could do that. So it is a commitment, but I think it's one we just have to all be doing. Whether we like it or not, we have to be doing it. And I think, the areas that were new to us that we sort of focused on through the questions asked were, things about, water usage from, in our toilets. We would never have thought about that, and putting in something to measure the water usage, for example. We were already doing things like shredding our paper, so that everything's always very confidentially destroyed, but we've always reused that in the pillows and the coffins for the deceased. So we've been doing that for years, but hadn't actually really acknowledged, or taking batteries to recycling centres instead of just putting them in the bin. We've always done that. Never really just thrown things away. That's always been our sort of ethos, but I don't think we'd formally addressed it or recognised it until now.
And do you think this, taking those steps and looking at how biodiversity in the community, do you think that helps as well with the business when you think how it interacts with the community and your environmental work, letting the community know what you're doing?
Yeah, I think that's where we've really that's where we've been lacking, and I don't think we've thought that far. In the wider, we're very linked to our community. Obviously, we're community led. I mean, we are nothing without our community. But I think on this aspect, we hadn't thought of joining it up. And what that process of the audit and the questions have made me and us realise is, bringing biodiversity into our branches, and we're in a city, London, so we don't have outside space much. There's a couple of branches with a garden and so forth. But actually, we could easily put in some of these small initiatives like bird boxes, or anything to encourage wildlife into the garden and insects into the area, even on our window boxes, or small wins like that. So being able to talk to the community, or maybe even get them to come and help do some stuff with us, and therefore come and see our premises and maybe open up to them and use that as a sort of way of putting us on their agenda and making them think about us as not just this very established independent funeral business that's been going obviously a very long time and is quite well known, but actually we are sort of forward thinking, and we put the work in, and we want to work harder, particularly for the environment.
Yeah, I think that's some really good points there. And I think it's important because your families will be coming from your community, won't they? So if they know your ethos and the culture of your organisation, and it reflects their ethos, when they arrive, then they'll be able to ask for choice. And part of the audit is giving families choice, because that's the most important thing. It's not about forcing people down a particular way, forcing them to have particular coffins or particular types of funerals. It's make them aware of the options and then letting them choose. And do you feel that those two would go together, sort of working with your community, and then when they come in, offering that choice?
I think absolutely, and I do think the funeral directors working with us, our amazing team, I think that they really do that already. I think what would be better would be to make the spaces physically not greener, but to make more of the areas that we have as a sanctuary for people as well, a very calming. Why not use this actually as a really lovely way? And I think other FDs are probably, some of them are doing this, but to use plants more, even the inside plants if we haven't got any external space, but actually to green up our premises a bit. Why not actually?
Why not?
And actually that sets the agenda, doesn't it? It shows that we are thinking about it, but it's also we all know the facts and the research about greening of spaces is much better for our mental health and our physical health. So we should be doing that in our premises. I think that's a responsibility we can follow up with. It's quite exciting, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that entirely. I think it's very exciting. I think as well, well, you touch on there, greening the space you've got. It's about that pragmatism, isn't it? Where we can all be doing something. We can, taking those small steps, which together, across the whole community of funeral directors, suppliers, crematory, cemeteries, if we all do our bit, times that by 600,000 deaths approximately a year, it can make a huge, huge difference. You mentioned their teams, your team. How have your team reacted to the audit and what you've been doing?
They've been quite interested actually, and interestingly last week we had a all staff operational meeting, which was one of the first. We haven't done it for a long time. It'll be the first of many. We're going to do it quarterly now, just to improve our internal communication with everybody and each other. And that was one of the things we sort of talked about and announced, and some of the funeral directors would like to see the improvement plan from you. So we've already shared that because they're interested in doing better. We've now received gold, but why shouldn't we get platinum, and what could we be doing to better ourselves? So I think people are at different levels. I think, personally, it's not on some people's agenda, and others it is. But it's for us to sort of align that, I think, together.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think there's any impact on cost savings when you carry out these reviews and on sort of your clients? I stop everybody, we know that, but in particular around cost savings.
Yeah, I think one of the things from the audit that you recommended was that we could put the cistern for the water in the toilets. They were £10 for 3, I think, when I bought them, just to stop the water continuously refilling, just so we could actually reduce our water usage. So inevitably that will reduce our money, especially on utilities. We've already sort of got automatic sensors and things like that to stop lights being on continuously. So we do a lot of that, but it's made us think about, our IT equipment being on more than, we've got standby set, I think. But yeah, there's cost savings for sure.
Good. And so overall, was the process difficult, challenging? Would you recommend it? And again, I would stress, there are other systems out there, ISO 14001 B Corp. There's other things out there, but it's all about doing something for the environment. So I just wonder, carrying out that audit across the business, would you recommend it?
I would, because it's funeral profession specific, focused. We work in a very niche profession. Most people haven't experienced a death or a funeral until they come to us. It's not something they do every day. They're not consumers of funerals, until they're probably later in life, maybe, but they don't know what to expect. And I think it was quite intense. It was thorough, but I think it has to be rigorous, doesn't it?
Yes.
And that's what makes us take it seriously. Not everybody has a me in the company to give the time to it, but I'm sure people can commit to it. It was difficult just in terms of collating the information. I had to work with about 6 different colleagues to get that information together. But actually, that's quite collaborative, and we sort of talked about that as a way of working together, as an example of how we can communicate better across the company and share information. So I think that can only be a good thing. But it did take time. Yes. It will take time.
Yeah.
But I think
it doesn't have to be done all at once, does it? It's
no, you helped answer questions as as I went through it. It probably took me, it took me a good few weeks on and off. I mean, not full time, obviously, but that was the sort of the reality of my resource.
Yes, I think it's important, isn't it, that if you invest your time in it, it's got to be meaningful. It's always giving your time, and then have something which can be easily discredited as greenwashing. So
yes, and I think also we were, when we talked to you originally, this was the first part of looking at B Corp later, and it wouldn't be time wasted. We'd use all of this in the application for the B Corp status, which is kind of where we want to also get to. But obviously, B Corp isn't just set up for the funeral profession, so this is why it doesn't have to compete. It can work together, from what I've understood so far. I mean, I'm still learning. We're all still learning.
Absolutely, I think we're all on the journey, aren't we? I think that's a really important point. We're on that journey transitioning to somewhere greener. Whether it's in our work lives, our home lives, wherever, we've got to get to somewhere better. But it's not going to happen overnight. It's no use gluing ourselves to a hearse or something. You might get a lot of publicity, as some people do, but it doesn't produce anything positive. So on that point, I'd just like to thank you for taking your time, and congratulations on getting your Gold Award.
Well, thank you. And I should say it's been very supportive, actually, as well. And providing the evidence was good and doable. It was a screenshot of an email, or, you make it doable. So, so it's been very supportive and insightful. It's focused our minds, so thank you.
No, thank you, and thank you for taking the time out today to record this short presentation.
You're welcome. Thank you.